Hi, Alishan here, and in this video I'm going to show all the simple steps that one need to take out the E1100 V2 octocopter out of box, get it ready, install the gimbal, and perform some pre-flight setup steps. So I'll do my best to go with everything briefly and to make sure that all the instructions are provided in order to get this one ready. This video might get a little longer, but hey, here we are. So your E1100 V2 octocopter with the dual Gemini flight controllers, parachute, dual GPS, data links right here. This is your data link. Is ready here. This is your OSD, okay, and propellers and everything is installed and it's neatly standing in its seat. Let's go with the steps. The first thing you need to do is look into this box. I have left some accessories. All the accessories are here, like data links, okay, and their antennas, okay. So this is a data link and Wi-Fi unit. You will power it with 11.1 volt battery, okay, using XT60 connector, and then you can connect your Android devices and run the GCS, and this data link will talk to that data link on the octocopter, and the Wi-Fi unit will talk to your cell phones or Android tablets. Also, you will find these kind of screws, okay. One is a small and one is big, okay. The big ones are only 4 because they will connect your gimbal and landing skids under the octocopter. These are many because each arm will have 2 of these to secure the arms when you unfold them. So it's just very simple. First, as it is, without taking anything out, put everything upside down. Let the Octa sit on the parachute. Now you can remove the bottom part and hold all the arms. Don't let them just fold off, you know, hard. So hold the arms and slowly let all the arms unfold to their position. After that, use these screws to each side of the arm and lock them up or tighten them up. I would suggest you use some Loctite on them as well if you like, blue one, not the red one. So once all the arms are opened and tightened, the next thing you can do is put the Octa on top of the gimbal. Remember, there's an arrow pointing which one is the forward section of the gimbal, and your GPS arrows are also showing your forward section of the Octa. So Octa will sit having the GPS facing forward according to that arrow on top of it. Now if you look at the gimbal, you have 2 screws here and 2 screws there, okay. These holes will match on your Octa plates left and right. Once matched, you can use the longer ones and tighten the whole landing skids and gimbal assembly on the octocopter frame. This will make your octocopter ready. Once your octocopter is sitting on top of the gimbal and it's connected, then you look at here, you have a video transmitter, and if you come here, there is a yellow and black cable that says video or AV in. So you will connect this cable, and when you come to the OSD, you will see we have video in, okay, a cable coming out all the way. So this cable will connect to the yellow and black cable there. So you can get the input from the camera, the video input from your GH4, GH3 camera, and then supply it to video transmitter using the video out lead, okay, video out lead. It's a small connector which will fit right here, okay, and then your camera operator will have the feed from your camera. And for the FPV system, that is and for the pilot, you will have a separate FPV system which you can install anywhere on this Octa where you find, and power it up with a separate battery and give the output video out, video transmitted to the pilot. So that is a totally separate system, and it will be powered separately by a different battery. Now, once you have connected the Octa to the gimbal, there is this circular connector which will simply plug in to the circular connector on your Octa right there. So make sure to connect it right, otherwise your gimbal will not get any kind of power. Now, to make the gimbal dual operator setup, you will be receiving a Futaba T8G radio system and an R208 SP receiver inside. It is very simple. If you look at the connections here, you have channel 8, which also says S bus. Okay, channel 8 is S bus, and you have a cable hanging here from the gimbal controller which says S bus. So simply plug this cable to S bus port 8, making sure the polarity white top, ground or black down, and red center. That's it. And mount the receiver anywhere you like on the gimbal controller or under the gimbal controller. After that, your Futaba, once it turns on, your left stick will be rudder, which will be your yaw control on your gimbal. Your right stick roll and pitch. So up and down is pitch, left and right is roll. So you will be able to change camera pitch and camera roll. So your gimbal operator will have a total separate control of your gimbal. Now, for the pilot control, you have a Futaba T8FG radio system. There are many switches, but only few are in use, so let me describe them. Throttle stick on the left. The higher the throttle, the more power and higher the Octa goes. Lower the throttle slowly and your octocopter will descend. Okay, so you have to learn to control the throttle slowly and mildly. If you leave the throttle in the middle, your octocopter will hold its position. Okay, and of course then this is your bank, forward, backward, and your yaw on your octocopter or rudder. So throttle, rudder, aileron or banking, forward and backward movement. Okay, the next thing is your switch E. It's a 3-position switch. Okay, so this is going to change your flight mode. If your switch is down, it's a manual flight mode. In the middle, this will transmit the controls of the gimbal, or transfer the controls of your gimbal to your camera operator, and you will have the position hold, GPS position hold activated. Up is GPS position hold, and your camera operator should have the camera control as well. So basically, once all the satellites are locked, I would highly recommend you put it up on a GPS position hold mode and always take off in GPS position hold mode and fly in GPS position hold mode. Then the next switch we are looking at is the SC right here. If you put this switch all the way down, your octocopter will activate return to home. It's a 3-position switch. So top, it's off. All the way down, it will activate auto return to home. And if you have set some waypoints using the GCS, when you want your octocopter to follow the waypoints, put the switch in the middle and it will switch to auto navigation or following the waypoint. You can cancel the waypoint following anytime by returning to home feature activate or turning it off and getting control of your octocopter, making sure that your switch E is in GPS position hold mode and your throttle is always in the middle. Keep a good habit of keeping the throttle always in the middle, because if you switch to auto navigation mode, throttle is controlled by this navigation software and the flight controller, and putting the throttle 0 might not affect, but as soon as you switch back to manual control, 0 throttle means motors will stop. So always have a good habit of keeping the throttle in the middle. Okay, now the last switch that you want to pay attention to is very important one, and this is switch RD. It should be always kept to all the way right, because if you put it all the way left, your parachute will pop open. So when you power on the octocopter, ask someone to hold the parachute on the top and make sure that this switch is all the way right, and after some time you will start hearing the servo for the Octa parachute buzzing and in locked position. That means your parachute is not going to open and it's secured because the switch is all the way to close, and you are good to go for the pre-flight setup like compass calibration and gimbal calibration. Okay, to control or activate the gimbal, you have a RS slider. In single operator mode, this one will be your tilt control. Okay, so in order to activate the gimbal or after powering on the octocopter, you will have to move this slider up and down 3 times, and then you will have to do the calibration on the gimbal. Let me show it to you. Now let us assume you have installed everything properly. Your Octa is unfolded and sitting on top of the gimbal. All the cables are connected properly. Also make sure your camera is installed in the gimbal and gimbal is properly balanced. To balance the gimbal, you can see there are 2 screws here. This is for the top of the gimbal or the camera, but the bottom one will move forward and backward, so you can see if your camera is making it too tilt heavy, nose heavy. You can move this plate a little bit backward or forth and back in order to balance the gimbal with your GH3 or GH4 on inside the gimbal. Okay, once it's balanced, also make sure that your tilt is able to do all the way rotation without your lens or without anything else hitting anywhere, because this step is necessary to do for the calibration of the gimbal. So make sure nothing is making it stop anywhere. Okay, it should be free all the way. Alright, so assuming you have connected everything right, installed the gimbal, all the cables are connected right, you're gonna plug the battery to your octocopter. Your batteries will be installed under here, and after that you have a connector. Plugging this connector to the battery, it has 2 sides. One will plug here to the octocopter, so I will recommend before flying never connect it. This is to be connected to power the motors, and we can do it all the time, every time in the end. So first connect your battery here, and your flight controller, your parachute, OSD, FPV system and gimbal, everything will power on. Once everything is installed, your camera installed and your gimbal is powered on, you need to do the gimbal calibration. Before flight, every time you need to do gimbal calibration. Compass calibration has to be done only one time. So compass calibration method is shown in the user manual very clearly. I'm not going to go through that. I'm just going to go through the gimbal calibration that you have to do every time. So before the gimbal calibration, of course, your radio is on, everything is powered on. What you need to do is move the right slider. This is RS slider. Okay, move it up and down 3 times. Okay, 3 times, 4 times. Once done, you need to move the gimbal 360 degree, yaw, pan, 360 degree roll, and 360 degree tilt. So hold it here and increase the throttle a little bit. So hold the gimbal in the position and increase the throttle a little bit. So once you're holding and increase the throttle, you will find gimbal will come to life and it will balance. It might have a little shaking, but it should be smooth right after a second or 2, and it should work perfectly right. You can check with your Futaba T8J that the yaw, tilt and roll are all controllable or not. If the gimbal is shaking too much, just immediately put the throttle down to 0 and your gimbal will have no power at all. That means you need to do some balancing of your camera again. Okay, I'm hoping that these simple instructions that I've recorded for a long time are gonna help you. If you have any more questions, of course, you can always contact me. Remember that I have described all the procedures except the compass calibration. You can study the compass calibration method in user manual and make sure to do compass calibration just once. One more thing that is highly recommended is that you power up your data links and once your quad octocopter is powered, you can run the GCS. Always go to data and make sure you have all the satellites locked. Okay, and down here it's showing that everything is okay and there's no problems. Okay, if there are problems it will show you. Then go to the parameter. Okay, click on get, go all the way down and make sure your aircraft type is octocopter. Okay, because we have test flown your octocopter, so it is already set in the octocopter. Once you connect this thing and press get, you will have octocopter written here. Make sure aircraft type is octocopter, because last time I was flying a ZeroTech quadrotor, so my GCS is set to quadrotor. But as soon as you connect your cell phone or Android tablet to your octocopter here, you will have an octocopter written here. Okay, so make sure, always check. You can set various parameters like vertical speed, handling mode, max flying speed, PTZ roll sensitivity, and pitch and roll sensitivity of your octocopter, all here instantly, and send or upload it to your flight controller. Maps are here. Of course, right now my phone is not connected to maps or any Wi-Fi, so you cannot see maps, but you should be able to see maps. Control is where you can actually enable the control and use it to fly your octocopter using the phone even. So these are little things that you always have to make sure to check before flight, and then you are perfectly safe to fly. Enjoy, and if you have any other questions, just feel free to write to me anytime. I'm gonna pack these all up and send it your way.